Going to be a battle, really bad placement of Psystorm there by SuGoSu, but I don't think Tarson is going to have enough to deal with all these Immortals and Stalkers, as those Siege Tanks just got destroyed, and more Stalkers are blinking over, and these Siege Tanks are done, as there is only a handful of Marines to deal with this, and he might actually know he's probably going to lose all those Marines there, as these Stalkers are going to just pick them off one by one, as Tarson does have a point defense drone there. Great placement with the point defense drone there, but he shouldn't have moved away with his Marines, as that point defense drone is now pointless. Definitely a great push there by Tarson, but it just wasn't enough, as SuGoSu was able to defend against all those siege tanks and mass marines with his immortals and stalkers and a handful of zealots. So now he looked like he wasn't going to do a push out there with his handful of units, but he's just going to stay next to his El Naga tower to keep an eye on stuff while he rallies over a bunch more units to that area. Now we do have Tarson is keeping an eye on things with his, that point defense drone, which will wear off soon, with his SCV at the high yield. Now we do have SuGoSu building a far base over here, real smart, as well as Tarson too, trying to keep the bases hidden from the opponent, so they don't realize that they have another base on the field. Now we do have another Nexus on the way, so looks like SuGoSu is looking to take over a fourth base at the same time as he just fully saturates his third base. Now we do have Marauders on the way for the field for Tarson. He does realize he needs those Marauders to counter those Immortals and against all those Stalkers there. And those concussive shells are going to be great against the Zealots, but the thing is, Zealots now have the charge ability, so the concussive shells aren't going to be really too effective. Especially if he does have a good number of zealots on the field. Now we still have the 2 High Templars, as it does have the feedback and the Psystorm abilities, so he is good to go with that. Now we do have more siege tanks are getting queued up, as well as looks like, yeah, Tarson is not going to have any defense over here, as we do have a drop now over here at the third base of SuGoSu, and there's only a handful of Marauders, as the Zealots are now warped in. They should be able to charge and chop these Marauders, as Tarson does pick up the Marauders and now flies away. So definitely was a good attempt there to do some damage. Looks like he did manage to kill one pylon, but 2 pylons actually, as there were 3 pylons there. But it just wasn't enough to cancel out these buildings, as there still was 1 pylon warping in. Or not warping in, but keeping those buildings powered. Now we do have SuGoSu is planning a pylon over here at this base, as forcing Tarson to lift top his command center. He's most likely going to land here, or nope, he's actually going to take this island, which is real smart for Tarson at the moment. But this warp prism is probably going to keep an eye on that command center and is going to see what's going on. And I'm surprised there's no units actually in that warp prism, so he's probably going to know, he realizes that Tarson is going to land over here, so he's going to warp in, probably place that in the phasing mode, and doing a warp in some units here as soon as Tarson lands. Now it does look like we have Tarson is planning to do another drop with that command center, and SuGoSu is ready for that, as we do have a drop on the high ground here, as the Medivac is going to heal up some units, but he is out of energy, so it ain't going to do much. So SuGoSu is probably going to, nope, I will say he should have blinked up there and done some damage, but he only rallied it over there. Now Tarson is pretty safe at the moment where he is with that medevac, but his Marauders have like no health. So, and actually the medevac doesn't have. Well, actually it has more than half health. Never mind, it's just yellow. So it looks like he is going to bring it back to his base, as he realizes he can't do much with what he has, as, I mean, his 2 Marauders are basically dead now. We do have another push coming out here from Tarson. We do have a Forge on the way for SuGoSu, so we're definitely going to see some photon cannons around, as Tarson does now land on the island area. Now we do have, Tarson does have a few Medivacs on the field. He has a bunch of Marauders and siege tanks. Does look like he might be as he is supply block now, 145 to 145. I won't be surprised if he masses up to 200 food supply before he pushes out, as he is now building up, looking to take this middle area in front of all his bases, as he is now actually going to take this high yield without even taking up those rocks. So we'll probably see him drop it right over here or something, and if you can. I don't even know if you can. Might not be able to. But yeah, he is looking to take his 4th base as well. So they're both are going to be on 4 bases. As actually no, SuGoSu is now taking his high yield, so that will be 5 bases for SuGoSu. As we do have a push coming out here from SuGoSu, and Tarson should be ready for this as a bunch of siege tanks are sieged, as his units are spread out, as the Marines and Marauders do snip back and they are charging up there, but SuGoSu does pull away with his units as he realizes he cannot push in right now. Now we do have a few units warping in here on the side from SuGoSu. Tarson does notice that, and he is going to push up there and should be able to take out most of those units, as he is going to do a drop from the side. And no, he's actually going to sacrifice those Marauders to lure away those units, as he does do a drop up here and probably going to destroy whatever's up there, pylon, a probe, and a random zealot. He does do the drop now, and we have a bunch of storms, great perfect storms there from SuGoSu, doing a ton of damage on those Marauders and Marines. As more Stalkers are getting warped in, more storms are going down, and Tarson is in trouble as he does lose in all those units. Definitely great defense move there from SuGoSu as more High Templars are on the way. Now we also have Tier 1 armor is finally on the way for Tarson, as well as Tier 1 air weapons, Tier 1 ground armor, and Tier 1 ground weapons on the way for SuGoSu, as he's also building 2 Stargates. So we're probably going to see a bunch of Phoenixes, if not Void Arrays on the... Actually, no, I lied. With this unit composition, he's most likely going to go Carriers. As some people were like, Carriers, what are you talking about? Carriers are actually real great, especially with upgrades. If you watch the Day 9 thing, he did, what was it called, a Fun Day Monday or something? And he did something where people cannot, Protoss cannot expand until... where was that? There was a attack going from somewhere, but I don't know where it was. Where you cannot build a second Nexus until you carrier rush. So you basically had to go straight to carriers, and Protoss won almost every match. I mean, carriers are incredibly strong. They do about 5 damage per interceptor, but each interceptor shoots 2 lasers, so it's technically 10 damage per interceptor, and you can get up to what, 8 interceptors, and then every time you do +1 damage. I mean, you guys can do the math, but carriers are effectively strong, especially against Terran, especially siege tanks, and picking off these Marauders and Marines. As you can't single target interceptors either, so it forces your opponent. The threat mechanic gets all screwed up, and your opponent is forced to just attack the interceptors. So you can kind of use carriers as like a ploy. Just to get force your enemy to attack the interceptors, and then you just rush in with the rest of your units and just freaking demolish stuff. As we do now have 2 carriers are on the way, as well as Graviton Cannonbolt for the interceptors are research for SuGoSu. So we are going to see him mass some carriers here, as we are now into the late game. Do have a couple Zealots here are charging, and they should be able to kill, as they do manage to kill 1 siege tank there, as the splash damage almost killed another, but he didn't manage to kill those couple of Zealots. But SuGoSu does now realize what the defenses are here, as, I mean, this is a huge army. He definitely just straight up took over this Xel'Naga tower. This is his, as he is now working on his 4 bases against SuGoSu's 5. Now we do have tier 2 ground weapons are now about done for Protoss, as well as tier 2 air weapons are just queued up, as well as tier 2 ground armor. So SuGoSu is definitely looking to mass tech right now. And we finally do have a Ghost Academy on the way from Tarson, something you rarely see this late in the game. Usually you have a Ghost Academy up pretty quickly, as they can take out the shields of Protoss. I mean, usually they are great against Protoss, as you can just straight up throw the EMP bomb down, and yeah, I mean, destroys the shields and everything. It's real effective against Protoss. But I won't be surprised if we see a nuke. Wow, look at this. We got a mothership on the way here for SuGoSu. Very rare to see in a matchup, especially against pros, as we did have a couple charge lots going there from SuGoSu, but Tarson was able to defend against it, as he did lose a few Marauders there. Now we do have interceptors are getting built for the carriers, as through now we have 3 carriers on the way. How many does he have on the field? Let's go to units tab here. We have 2 carriers on the field, 103 probes. Holy shit. Anyways, go back, as we do have now a drop coming in here from Tarson, and he is going to be able to do a ton of damage here, as there is no units, only a handful of command centers command centers. Wow, carriers are on the field now, and they are going to be able to pick off these marauders one by one, as there is only a handful of marines to deal with these carriers, and it's just not going to be enough. So Tarson is just going to. Oh wow, we do have a bunch of stalkers coming in here to these siege tanks of Tarson, and these siege tanks are just wasted now. They just got chopped away. Definitely a poor move there, poor choice move there by Tarson, as now these carriers are just picked off those marauders. He did manage to kill a bunch of gateways, so now we do have a Porsche coming in from SuGoSu. As couple good storms there going down right on the siege tanks, as those siege tanks are now done. Another storm's on top of the marauder ball. Only has a couple Vikings on the field to deal against those carriers. We do have a carrier now pushing in here inside Tarson's base, as he doesn't have anything to deal with this at the moment. He's definitely going to have free reign on this base. As now it looks like Tarson is now pushing out with his units, so it's going to be like a straight-up base trade, as he does not care at the moment with the carriers having free reign, as those Vikings are just getting picked off one by one, as two more Vikings do finish. Now we do have attack coming in here from Tarson, as he's going to be able to do a ton of damage here if he can get into the base, as there is nothing defending against it, as he does kill those zealots. Now we do have SuGoSu is forced to pull all those probes back inside the base, as Tarson is free reigning on that base at the moment. As we do have the mothership also on the way at the base of Tarson, so this is killer, as those carriers are stealth, so it's straight up base trade now. Whoever can kill each other's bases faster. As Tarson does snip back again, as he's just destroying these buildings one by one, as a bunch of storms go down here by SuGoSu. Managed to do a bunch of damage to those marauders. As we go back to the mothership, and carriers are just straight up have free reign on Tarson's base. He's not even rallying those SCVs away, as he realizes that base is gone. Now a bunch more storms are coming down, and Tarson's whole army is destroyed. Wow, Tarson's in trouble now, as he only has a handful of units on the field, forced to pick up what's left with 20 HP left on that medevac, as one lonely marauder doing some damage on that the simulator. Now we do have these carriers, and mothership is still free reigning in Tarson's base, just destroying buildings one by one, as we do have another drop in here, and the high yield expansion of SuGoSu, but there are some photon cannons to defend against this, as he is now, nope, he was not able to be far away enough, as storms are going down, and he's going to lose all those marauders, as Tarson barely has any units now on the field, as nope, as the missile turret was trying to do some damage on these carriers, but not enough, as Tarson main base is now gone. I love this mothership play. That was freaking great there by SuGoSu. That was a great move. You rarely see motherships in pro games, or any games rather, so this was great to see. Now we have Tier 3 Protoss armor, air armor is now queued up, as well as Tier 3 weapons, air weapons on the way for SuGoSu, as well as another Nexus, as he's looking to take over his fourth or fifth base again. Now the main of Tarson is finally cleaned out. He did have 3 barracks just finished, so he's definitely looking to keep this area over here for himself. He's definitely looking to build some counter to this massive air here from SuGoSu. I mean, SuGoSu is doing great now with these carriers in mothership, as he has 6 carriers on the field now, 7 carriers. Wow. This is freaking great play here from SuGoSu, massing carriers now into late game, as Tarson does now good game here, as SuGoSu does charge in, go Blitz, as SuGoSu does charge in with a bunch of zealots here into Tarson's base. So that was an amazing game, well played by both players, and especially in the early start there with the DT on a proxy pylon far away. Tarson did not expect that, forced him to pull off all his SCVs for a long time, so he wasn't mining anything for a good amount of time there, which put him back way behind. And then this play here from SuGoSu, just going mass carriers with the mothership, was epic. I mean, you can't get much epic than this. I mean, look at that. That's a ton of freaking carriers. You never see a lot of heavy air like this, especially with a mothership. But there you have it. This game goes to SuGoSu, and I'll see you all next time.